Only 5 more races to go in the DTM season. We are psyched to be here at the Lausitzring. It is hot indeed, 32 degrees, and the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. And it's also a very important race here because it's the 500th. That's why we've got this beautiful golden reef, and we're excited to see who's going to win it. But of course, we also want to see how the battle in the championship is going to go, and that's why I'm very excited to have the DTM boss Gerhard Berger here with me. Gerhard, we've got a lot of people here at the Lausitzring. It's perfect weather, and all in all, the DTM really is going the right direction. So what are you expecting for the race?
Well, first, yeah, great atmosphere here. But I think this year, nearly every race, we had a really good atmosphere and a big step forward on ticket sales. So I can see the fans start to like DTM very much again, and that's for us the most important thing.
And of course, we're also looking forward to a very exciting race, right? And a battle between Nico and, of course, René.
Yeah, we have a lot of discussions going on race by race, but the situation changed the whole time. And I think we have a very interesting starting grid. Everything's mixed up. And one race ago, everybody said, well, it's a clear situation for Rast, but no, nothing is clear like motorsport is known. You have to wait until the checkered flag. You have to wait until the last race, until you know who is really the champion.
And that's exactly what makes the DTM so exciting. Thank you so much, Gerhard Berger. And now to your commentator.
Well, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to an extremely warm Lausitzring, where the atmosphere truly is electric as we celebrate the 500th DTM race. There you can see Bernd Schneider and Klaus Ludwig, two of the most successful drivers in DTM. Bernd Schneider with 5 titles and 43 wins, some 236 races contested. Klaus Ludwig, 3 titles, 37 wins and 219 races. Started so extraordinary heritage with the DTM and celebrating its 500th race here at the Lausitzring this afternoon. There you can see the Philipp Eng car, which is in the garage. Parc Fermé rules broken by the team for Philipp Eng, so his qualifying position will be right from the very, very back of the pack. So, Philipp Eng starting most likely from the pit lane and the back of the pack. His grid position not being taken up, as you can see. Let's go back down to the grid right now.
And I'm here with a man who's starting in pole position. Fantastic job you did in qualifying, Jamie Green. And it's the 500th race here today. You've already won at Lausitzring 3 times. So are you hoping to be winning the Golden Reef today?
Of course I am, absolutely. Yeah, you just told me there's a special kind of thing on the podium. I think it's a reef that they put over your head, so I hope I can wear that later.
But do you have a good feeling for the race? I mean, you're in the front, that's always good. You've got Audis behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no better place to start, so yeah, I'm very happy. We'll just have to see how it goes, but I feel ready.
That's always good. Best of luck, Jamie. Thank you very much, and back to you.
Yes, 3 race wins for Jamie Green here at the Lausitzring, and he did a brilliant job in qualifying. A 1:35.3 time gives him that pole position. This is Ferdinand Habsburg, who'll be going from P16 on the grid for our Motorsport and Aston Martin. But back to Jamie Green. He's had pace all weekend. Yesterday, the start was not brilliant, and he also picked up a penalty. Let's hope he'll be trouble-free today. And can he make it win number 4 here at the Lausitzring? There is the Jake Dennis car, the Aston Martin Vantage DTM of Jake Dennis, going from P15 on the grid. So Jake Dennis then with a 1:36.667, and there you can see it's the 15th grid spot for Jake Dennis. He was just shaded by his teammate Paul de Resta, who is 1 place ahead of him. He is going from P14 on the grid. And there, quiet contemplation ahead of the 500th race. And there, going from P14, as confirmed, is one Mr. Paul de Resta, quietly contemplating the 55-minute plus 1 lap race to come. In the meantime, let's see what the thoughts and hear what the thoughts are of just some of our team principals here at the Lausitzring.
races to go in the season, and of course it's the battle between René Rast and Nico Müller, and I've got both the team bosses here. Arnold Sensen, team boss of René Rast, and he's leading by 13 points, but yesterday was so much bad luck. So do you think today is going to be a good day and you're going to be able to pick up the speed and collect more points?
Yes, I'm optimistic. In the qualifying, the car was running very good, and we still have 5 races, and they can happen a lot.
But of course, René is in P4, and just ahead of him in P3 is Nico Müller. So it's a maybe better position for him, but you never know. As we all know, of course, the start is absolutely crucial. So what are you hoping for the race? Are we going to see a fair battle?
Yes, it will be a fair battle because both of each were respecting each other, and this is very important. We want to have hard racing, but fair racing, and at the end, the quickest car should win the race.
Hopefully, we're going to get some nail-biting action. So best of luck to both of you. Thank you very much, and back to the commentator.
Nail-biting action to come. So Thomas Biermeier from AB Sportsline and Arne Sensen then from Audi Sport Team Rosberg there. And here is Mike Rockenfeller preparing in P10. So Mike Rockenfeller going from P10. He had a real burst of speed towards the end of the race yesterday, and of course put himself on the podium going from P3 on the grid. So a bit of an Audi party at the moment in terms of the Drivers' Championship, P1 and P2, of course, with René Rast and Nico Müller, though the gap has been narrowed somewhat. But of course, there is a BMW doing some chasing as well. As we look at Timo Glock, it's actually not him doing the chasing, but this man, one Mr. Marco Wittmann.
It's a lot hotter here today, but a man who always keeps his cool is Marco Wittmann. You're starting in P6 today, Marco, which is fantastic as the best BMW. But considering the fact it's all about the championship title now, what are you going to do to pick up the speed to get way ahead?
Well, actually, I'm going to try to have such a good start as yesterday. Trying to gain some places already up to turn 1, maybe 2 or 3 places. That would be the ideal scenario, and then hoping for a good strategy for a good race pace. But we know it's going to be difficult. It's a lot hotter today, so we will for sure sweat a lot. But we have also a lot of Audis around us, so it doesn't make our life easier, to be honest. But we're going to fight. We're going to try hard.
I bet you will. Happy sweating and good luck. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Happy sweating indeed. Marco Wittmann then. He did have a really, really good start yesterday and picked up 2 or 3 places right at the start of the race. So he's a mean starter, and let's see what Marco Wittmann can do from P6 on the grid today. Robin Freins is ahead of him. He goes from P5, and Robin Freins had a good race yesterday, finishing P2. Of course, another podium for Robin Freins. He'd had 3 before that P2 place yesterday. Here is René Rast, whose qualifying was perhaps not what he wanted. He goes from P4 on the grid, but second row start is no mean feat. And of course, René Rast will be hoping to right the wrongs of yesterday, where he banked no points from the race at all. And there is Nico Müller, who banked maximum points in the race yesterday by being the winner, and he goes from P3 on the grid. It was also a very good qualifying from one of the WRT drivers, Jonathan Aberdeen. Let's hear from him now.
Starting from P2 is Jonathan Aberdeen. You did a great qualifying, and it's always good, obviously, to be starting from P2. So what's your feeling for the race? I mean, it's got to be a good feeling.
I mean, first of all, it's incredible weather here for DTM 500. So that's already a good point. But strategy for the race, just take it easy the first 2 or 3 laps. Obviously get a good start and see how things pan out.
And you always seem so cool.
Yeah, on the outside, yes, but I think every racing driver on the inside is a bit nervous.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Back to the commentator.
Very good qualifying from Jonathan Aberdeen then for the independent WRT team. He goes from P2 on the grid at 1:35.4. It's just a 10th behind the pole setter, Jamie Green. So a front row start for Green and Aberdeen, and a second row start for Nico Müller and René Rast, backed up with Robin Freins and Marco Wittmann going from the third row of the grid. But there is our pole sitter, Jamie Green, then preparing ahead of the start of this race. There is Nico Müller, of course. He maxed his haul yesterday with 25 points for the race win. Interestingly, going into yesterday's race, Nico Müller had never even been on the podium here at the Lausitzring and actually took the win. So there's Jonathan Aberdeen then fully prepared inside the car. 55 minutes plus 1 lap, the race duration to come. here at the Lausitzring. Some 4.5 kilometers of 14 turns, 8 left and 6 right-handers. And there is René Rast. From P4, he will be pushing, that's for sure. And Marco Wittmann will be pushing him all the way as well. Welcome to the Lausitzring. We are 63 kilometers from Dresden, maybe an hour or so south of Berlin, and we've held 24 DTM races here since 2001 as we celebrate the 500th DTM race. An extraordinary place and an extraordinary circuit, of course, carved out of the natural topography, this tri-oval circuit, which of course started life as something of a mining area, and advantage being taken of the land that was available. And there, one of the old extraction machines, as our helicopter reveals the tri-oval. We use parts of the tri-oval and of course an infield section of the Lausitzring, and there it is in all its glory, and a very good crowd here to enjoy the race action today, which we are but 4 minutes away from that getting underway. So as I said, a very good and excited and enthusiastic crowd here to enjoy the race action. Jamie Green then, going from pole position for the British driver, and good to see Jamie Green going from pole position, that 1:35.3. Jonathan Aberdeen for the independent WRT team alongside him, going from P2 on the grid. That is Marco Wittmann, currently P3 in the Drivers' Championship on 159 points, and he's going from P6 on the grid. So as Gerhard Berger said earlier on today, as we came to the Lausitzring, you almost thought, yeah, everything is done and dusted in terms of the Drivers' Championship, but everything could be turned on its head in the space of one race, and that's exactly what happened with that DNF for René Rast yesterday. All of a sudden, the margin between René Rast and Nico Müller and Marco Wittmann has been narrowed. Here comes the grid in full for you then for this 500th DTM race. Jamie Green, pole position. Jonathan Aberdeen alongside from P2. Then we find Nico Müller and the points leader, René Rast, P3 and P4. Robin Freins and Marco Wittmann are on the third row of the grid, P5 and P6. Then it's Loic Duval and Pietro Fittipaldi, P7 and P8. On the next row, it's Timo Glock and Mike Rockenfeller, P9 and P10. To the sixth row of the grid, we find Sheldon van der Linde and Joel Eriksson in a BMW duo on that row, with Bruno Spengler and Paul de Resta going from P13 and P14. Then we find Jake Dennis and Ferdinand von Habsburg, P15, P16, ahead of Danny Juncadella and Philipp Eng, whose qualifying time was taken away because the Parc Fermé rules were broken with the car being worked on after qualifying. So Philipp Eng having to start right from the back of the pack. So you can see there the door being opened and closed on the Jamie Green car to try and get some air into the number 53 machine. There is the Marco Wittmann car, and Marco ready to go. Cool and contemplating the race ahead. He got a blistering start yesterday. Is he going to be able to repeat that feat today? He has René Rast right ahead of him. And there, just some of the big crowd here at the Lausitzring. It's an extraordinary facility. And the Euro Speedway, of course, formed of that tri-oval. And the sun is beating down. The temperature much higher than yesterday, and therefore track temperature higher, and tyre degradation therefore may be something of an issue today. So there you can see the facts from the track. 4.5 kilometers, 55 minutes plus 1 lap is the race duration. And the lap record, which came from Robin Freins yesterday, a 1:38.176, 1:38.176. That's the race lap fastest time. And there is Philipp Eng then, who will have to park up at the end of the pit lane and then join the train of the cars as they're released on their formation lap. He will be going right from the back of the pack. He qualified P13 with a time of 1:36.314. But the Parc Fermé rules were broken and the team were working on the car, and therefore he has to take a start from the very back of the grid as a penalty. So this is the moment when all the anticipation rises. We are but 10 seconds away from the cars being released on their formation lap. As every vantage point is secured here at the Lausitzring, we are ready to go racing for the 500th DTM races. Right on cue, the cars are released. And they are away on their formation lap. So into that tight turn number 1, I should say, before snaking into turn 2, 3 and 4. And you can see the cars making their way through turns 2 and 3 now before heading through turn 4 and 5 and out onto part of the old oval. The grid once again for you, Jamie Green alongside Jonathan Aberdeen. There's Philip Eng being released from the pit lane now. So Philip Eng will pick up the train of cars then and start from the very back of the pack. There's Jamie Green making his way through turn number 6 with Jonathan Aberdeen, and there's Nico Müller. And René Rast and Robin Freins and Marco Wittmann and Loic Duval and Pietro Fittipaldi and Joel Eriksson. So the cars off the oval and onto the infield section of the track, weaving from side to side to generate some temperature into the tyres on this formation lap. Loic Duval and Pietro Fittipaldi and Timo Glock and Mike Rockefeller and Sheldon van der Linde and Joel Eriksson, you can see, but there is our pole sitter, Jamie Green. 3 wins he's taken here at the Lausitzring. Could he take the 4th win today, and in it and with it the 500th DTM race victory? Timo Glock and Mike Rockefeller, 2 of the older hands in DTM, if I am allowed to say that, with no offence to either driver. And Jamie Green then about to rejoin the oval. He's making his way through turn number 12 now. So 1984 to 2019 is the heritage and the history, the 500th DTM race about to be contested. Dr. Florian Kamelger, the team boss at R Motorsport Aston Martin, looks on with the worried face always of a team principal right at the start of the race, I guess. And the cars making their way now to the starting grid. Dieter Gas to the left-hand side of your picture. To his right-hand side was Arno Sensen from Audi Sport Team Rosberg. Now, Jamie was really cautious on the grid yesterday, and his start compromised because of that. Let's hear his engineer guide him into his grid box.
Okay, slow down. Slow, slow. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop.
And Jamie has stopped. He's millimetrically perfect into his grid box as the rest of the cars make their way into their grid boxes, including Marco Wittmann then going from P6 on the grid. There is Stefan Reinhold, and also there is Rudolf Dietrich, then the head of Motorsport Vehicle Development. Vincent Voss there with a baseball cap on for Audi Sport Team WRT, the independent WRT team. And we await the green flag from the marshal at the rear, which is what we get right now, so the start sequence can get underway. 500 races about to be contested. This is the 500th. We have 3 red lights, 4, 5. When the lights go out, we will be racing. And a good start from Jonathan, a good start from Robin Freins, rather a poor start from Nico Müller, a great start from René Rast as well. Both those drivers getting past Jonathan Aberdeen. Jamie Green, though, he was cool, calm and collected right at the start of the race, and he managed to get away good too. So it's Green from Rast who made headway right at the start of the race. So too did Robin Freins. And a good start also from Pietro Fittipaldi. So for the first time of asking them, the cars made their way through turn number 5 onto this straight section down towards turn number 6. At one point they're 3 abreast there, as you can see, with Sheldon van der Linde in the middle of that sandwich. And it was Jake Dennis making his way past Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon van der Linde tries to fight back now. Jake Dennis on the inside, Sheldon van der Linde on the outside. Here is Jamie Green leading the race and already stretching his legs over René Rast, who is P2. Then it's Robin Freins in P3, ahead of Jonathan Aberdeen and Pietro Fittipaldi. The man that was really in strife, of course, Nico Müller, who's fallen behind not only Marco Wittmann, but Joel Eriksson as well. And Nico Müller trying to fight back now. Philipp Eng, another one who's had a blistering start when you consider that he started right at the back of the pack. He has got past not only Timo Glock, but all the Aston Martin cars as well. So Philipp Eng doing a very good job on this opening lap. And there you can see him in the number 25 car, about to be on the back of Nico Müller. Timo Glock trying to fight his way through that gaggle of Aston Martins as well as we put the first lap in the book. And DRS becomes enabled. It is Jamie Green leading by a second from René Rast, then it's Robin Freins, Jonathan Aberdeen, Pietro Fittipaldi, Mike Rockefeller and Loic Duval, the top 7 cars. So on the inside of Sheldon van der Linde, inside of Timo Glock goes Ferdinand Habsburg. There's Green and Rast and Freins. Oh, so close to that concrete wall as they come out of turn number 5 and head towards turn number 6. The sound and the speed of these DTM cars, truly magnificent here at the Lausitzring. Now, bear in mind, every driver has to make a mandatory pit stop at some point during the course of the race. We don't imagine any early pit stops because of the tyre wear and the additional heat into the tarmac today. We're on board with Philipp Eng. Now, Philipp Eng is already up to P11. Please bear in mind that Philipp Eng started from the very back of the pack. So we ride on board with Philipp Eng then for BMW Team RMR. As Jamie Green continues to lead Rast and Freins, and then it is the 2 WRT team cars together as Nico Müller really pressuring Joel Eriksson now. There is Jake Dennis, clearly with a problem, and Jake Dennis very slow. The car sounding sick, so really rather suspect that it's all over for Jake Dennis's race. Unfortunately, you can see as we go on board with him for our motorsport then, this will be disappointing, and of course disappointing for the young Brit as well. So the gap between Jamie Green and René Rast is down to just 5/10 now. And here you can see Marco Wittmann trying to find his way past Loic Duval. So Loic Duval for Audi, Marco Wittmann for BMW. Of course, no loyalty between the brands, and it's a big fight between the two of them. Marco Wittmann currently running in P8, and Loic Duval in P7. So, live championship standings, if everything were to stay this way, Rast would increase his lead to 227, Müller would be on 197, and Wittmann on 163. That's if everything stays this way. And, well, with 55 minutes plus 1 lap, I really rather suspect it won't. So, now, Philipp Eng is on the back of Nico Müller, yesterday's race winner, of course. Just as I always say, you cannot read into race 1 what a form guide that will give you for race number 2, and you can see it's altogether different. Nico Müller down there only just in the points, running in P10 at the moment. Ahead of him is Joel Eriksson, P9, and behind him is Philipp Eng in P11. So that's very sad to see. Retirement for Jake Dennis then for the R Motorsport concern, and Dr. Florian Kamelge you could see on the pit wall there. So Green continuing to lead Rast and Freins and Aberdeen and Fittipaldi and Rockefeller. And there is Joel Eriksson, who has been passed by Nico Müller. So Nico Müller has got that BMW out of the way. And Nico Müller now finds himself in P9 as René Rast just takes a look at the inside of Jamie Green, and well, that wasn't too difficult an overtake, was it, really? René Rast goes through on Jamie Green to pick up the lead of the race. Here comes Philipp Eng, who's got past Joel Eriksson as well. So it's Philipp Eng doing the chasing now. An extraordinary drive from Philipp Eng right from the back of the pack. He now finds himself in P10, so in the points after but a few laps here at the Lausitzring. So chasing down Jamie Green now is Robin Freins. Rast leading from Jamie Green and Robin Freins, and then it is the Aberdeen and Fittipaldi cars from the WRT team that are running in P4 and P5. So there is Jamie Green in the all-orange machine with Robin Freins right behind. Robin Freins, of course, on the podium yesterday, taking P2. But René Rast stretching his legs out front now as he has got past the Jamie Green car. Rast leads from Green, Freins, Aberdeen, Fittipaldi, Rockefeller, Duval, Wittmann, Müller and Eng to round out the top 10 for you. So Freins just taking a look at the inside of Jamie Green. Nothing like close enough to be able to do anything here. On board with Nico Muller then. And this was Nico Muller's overtake on Joel Eriksson. It was bold, ambitious move, but one that paid off for Nico Muller. So good to get that in replay. Good racing room left by Joel Eriksson. And this is Philip Eng then on Joel Eriksson. On the outside of the start-finish straight to go into turn number 1. Having to scrub all the speed now and turn in. He did that with aplomb. And this was René Rast for the lead of the race on Jamie Green. And as you can see, has put about 5 car lengths between himself and Jamie Green. It's something like 8/10. Bruno Spengler ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. That's for P12. Sheldon van der Linde running in P13 currently. Ahead of Paul de Resta, then it's Glock, Habsburg, Juncadella, and of course, sadly, we've seen Jake Dennis have to park the car in the garage. So Sheldon van der Linde just pulling out there of the stream off the back of the Bruno Spengler car, but nothing like close enough to be able to make a move on Bruno Spengler. Rast continues to eke away at the margin between himself and Jamie Green. There's just 5/10 between Green and Robin Freins, running in P2 and P3 respectively, but here is our race leader, René Rast. Now Freins looks somewhat closer to Jamie Green than he has done for a little while. So the top few places go through. There is Marco Wittmann and Nico Muller. Marco Wittmann will be satisfied with the fact that he's ahead of Nico Muller, but is not as far up the grid, or up the order rather, as he would like to be. And he certainly wasn't far enough up the grid in terms of qualifying. He would have liked to have been further up there, but got the max out of the BMW that he possibly could. So onto this banked turn number 14 now. They come off turn number 14 and onto the start-finish straight then. And sure enough, Rast has put another 3/10 on the gap between himself and Jamie Green. So we're led to believe it was a sensor issue that caused the problems for René Rast yesterday, as Timo Glock just took a look at the inside of Paul de Resta. Paul de Resta running in P14 in that number 3 R Motorsport Aston Martin car ahead of Timo Glock. Those 4 cars headed by Bruno Spengler. You can see there the black car with the white roof. Bruno Spengler, who is P12, former DTM champion, of course, in the year that BMW made their return to the DTM. This being the 500th DTM race being held here at the Lausitzring this weekend, and celebrating the 500th race of DTM. So Spengler, van der Linde. Then it is de Resta and Timo Glock. Timo Glock there in P15 ahead of Ferdinand Habsburg and Daniel Juncadella. So first 10 minutes or so of the race done, and René Rast leading by 1.1 seconds over Jamie Green, and there indeed is the race leader. That's the pit exit you can see at the bottom of your screen, the pit entry I should say, at the bottom of your screen. No one having taken to that yet for an early stop, and not surprised by that because of the track temperature today. On board with Nico Muller then for Audi Sport Team at Sportsline. And Robin Freins again just getting a little bit closer to Jamie Green and closing the gap to 4/10. Not quite close enough to have a go going into turn number 1, but Robin Freins, having had the taste of P2 yesterday, would quite like to replicate that in the race today. And Freins continuing to be right on the back of the Jamie Green car. So, as we mentioned earlier on, the R Motorsport car of Jake Dennis has retired. Let's hear from him.
Jake Dennis, Jake, talk us through it. What happened? Why did you have to retire?
Yeah, we're still analysing at the moment. Just had a loss of power and misfiring on lap 2. It's a bit of a shame because my start was really good. I was up behind Muller, who's in the top 10 now, so a bit frustrating. The first lap was a lot of BMWs around me and them trying to let Eng pass, so it was a big mess. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating because we did a lot of changes to the car overnight, and it would have been nice to analyse it for the race, but nevertheless, we've still got 3 cars out there now, testing some different set of items, what we've brought in today, and hopefully we can try and yeah, if one of the cars can get into the points, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Jake. Back to you.
Thanks so much, and well done for getting hold of Jake Dennis. You can see there from the replays that we were looking at, Nico Müller really had a mare of a start. That really did for him right at the start of the race, losing a number of places. Just looking at the pictures as we were hearing from Jake Dennis, and as he says, it's all very, very busy around him as Philipp Eng was making his way through the pack and being supported perhaps by other BMW drivers, but there was a lot of chopping and changing going on, that's for sure. So it's as we were then, because Rast has increased by another 10th or so. He's marching over Jamie Green, and Robin Freins is still about 5/10 behind.
Stop line, move the brake balance rearward for the outlap. We saw you were struggling a little bit. Good call from you.
So I was going to say 5/10 behind Jamie Green as Timo Glock and Ferdinand Habsburg having a real battle here, and the first of those to come into the pit lane was Bruno Spengler. So Bruno Spengler into the pits, and Ferdinand Habsburg really pushing Timo Glock here, and right behind Ferdinand Habsburg is the car of Danny Juncadella.
Go, go, go.
6.4 second stop was good yesterday. We got a 6.6 second stop for the team.
I was really struggling with the rear quite a lot.
So the first of the stoppers, Bruno Spengler, very early on relative to when we thought we would see cars into the pit lane. So Bruno Spengler's mandatory pit stop is done and dusted. Ferdinand Habsburg then gets a black and white flag for forcing another car off the track. That was the car of Timo Glock. Now, a black and white flag is merely a warning, but it does mean that you're sort of under the observation of the race control, including the race director, Sven Stopper. Ferdinand van Habsburg has been warned. Nico Müller really, really close to Marco Wittmann now. So P8 and P9 being contested by these two drivers. We're on board with Nico Müller. So the gap between Müller and Wittmann is just a few tenths, and Müller comes in, and so too does Philipp Eng. So Bruno Spengler coming in first of all, and now Nico Müller is coming in. He couldn't find his way past Marco Wittmann, so he'll try and undercut him, and Mike Rockenfeller coming in as well.
Pit lane. Copy, Nico. Remember, brake balance. It will be 26 laps to go. 26 laps to go. Wittmann has 10 laps of DRS left.
So Mike Rockenfeller, Nico Müller.
Copy.
And Philipp Eng all coming into the pit lane at the same time.
We focus of getting maximum points today. 26 laps to go. Fast lane is clear. Go, go, go.
Well, it was not a blistering stop for neither Rocky or Nico Müller. A better stop for the team for Philipp Eng then, as the RMR team get him out in under 7 seconds. So those three are on fresher tyres, but of course those tyres will be cold. Bruno Spengler, who stopped a lap earlier, his tyres will be now up to temperature, but he's still some distance behind Philipp Eng as he's returned to the track. So Philipp Eng will be hoping that he'll be able to generate enough temperature into the tyres that he won't come under threat from Bruno Spengler. So race leader, René Rast, who's now 1.2 seconds ahead of Jamie Green, ahead of Robin Freins, and all of a sudden coming good now is Jonathan Aberdeen. Of course, started P2 on the grid. He's running in P4 at the moment. But the race leader is the championship leader, René Rast. He banked no points from the race yesterday and is trying to right the wrongs of yesterday today and is leading the race currently. This is Ferdinand Habsburg, clearly with a problem to the number 62 R Motorsport car. He's slowing and he brings the car off onto a safety part of the circuit, so it looks like a race retirement for Ferdinand Habsburg. He was battling just a few moments ago with Timo Glock, and, well, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that he'll be battling anymore in this race. It looks like a retirement for Ferdinand Habsburg. So two of the R Motorsport Aston Martin cars are out already in the race. We've still got just under 40 minutes plus a lap remaining. Pietro Fittipaldi, Loic Duval, and there is Marco Wittmann. Now, of course, he was being chased hard by Nico Müller. Nico Müller choosing to come in and try and undercut Marco Wittmann when Marco Wittmann comes in for his mandatory stop. So those cars that have stopped are Mike Rockenfeller, Nico Müller, Philipp Eng, Bruno Spengler. They are the ones that have come into the pit lane to take their mandatory stop. René Rast is trying to build up as much of a lead as he can before they decide to bring him in. He's got something like 1.6 seconds over Jamie Green. Jamie Green there running in P2. So René Rast then we're on board with right now for Audi Sport Team Rosberg. His his lap times last time around, a 1:39.317, 1:39.317. Bruno Spengler's clear second a lap quicker, a 1:38.905, as we can see the Ferdinand Habsburg car being put into safety then. And this in replay was Ferdinand Habsburg and Timo Glock with their ding-dong battle that was going on. Here was Ferdinand Habsburg then making a late move to the inside of Timo Glock. There was contact there, and that pushed Timo Glock just a bit wide. In comes Jonathan Aberdeen now.
Nathan, we are playing undercut with Fridge, so you have to gain 2 seconds in the 24 laps remaining. 2 seconds to gain in the 24 laps remaining.
So you've got to find 2 seconds in the 24 laps that remain. So the WRT team then go to work on the Jonathan Aberdeen car. 6.6 second stop is good. Joel Eriksson is on his way down the pit lane as well. So Joel Eriksson pulls into his garage, and here comes Jonathan Aberdeen with the WRT team having changed all tyres within 6.6 seconds. We run the clock on the Joel Eriksson car now as well, a 6.8 second stop for the RBM team for Joel Eriksson. And the fastest lap now comes from Philip Eng, look, a 1:37.897. Compare that to the race leader, René Rast, who's running a 1:39.608. You can see what the advantage is of having fresher tyres, but you've got to make those tyres last for 37 minutes plus a lap. So Nico Müller getting past Jonathan Aberdeen then. Jonathan Aberdeen, who's returned to the track following his pit stop on cold tyres, of course. And Nico Müller right behind Mike Rockenfeller. So there is Mike Rockenfeller in the number 99 car. Got himself onto the podium yesterday for P3. Had one race win this year, that win coming at Assen. And on board with Nico Müller. So Pietro Fittipaldi has come into the pit lane as well. We can see from the P indication on the graphics to the left-hand side of your screen. And there is Philip Eng, who should... Although Jonathan Aberdeen now has probably generated enough temperature into the tyres to be able to defend potentially from Philip Eng, but we'll see if Philip Eng will get the draft around turns 13 and 14 and make a move going into turn number 1. So here comes Philip Eng then, right on the back of Jonathan Aberdeen. He'll try and dive to the inside. Oh, Aberdeen went to close the door. Philip Eng all the way around the outside now. Jonathan Aberdeen holds on to that place and prevents Philip Eng from going through. And, well, the temperature advantage Philip Eng would have had in his tyres Ferdinand Habsburg being...
None of the buttons were working, so for me I think it's probably something electrical.
Bad luck. Thank you very much, Ferdinand. Back to you.
Well, sadly, all we heard was some buttons not working for Ferdinand Habsburg, so make of that what you will, as Sheldon van der Linde then gets really rather easily overtaken by Bruno Spengler. Bruno Spengler's tyres up to temperature. Sheldon van der Linde's, of course, are not. Danny Juncadella is leading the race, but of course Danny Juncadella has not stopped for his mandatory stop yet. And there was a problem then in the pit stop for Loic Duval as well. That will have really compromised his position, as he was held much longer in the pit box than he would have liked. So there is Loic Duval back out again. But he was a long time in the pit lane. Got 23.5 minutes plus a lap remaining in the DTM 500th race here at the Lausitzring. And they're ahead of Sheldon van der Linde is Bruno Spengler. And there is Paul de Resta and Timo Glock. Leader of the race, though, for our Motorsport Aston Martin, currently, is Danny Juncadella. But do bear in mind, Danny Juncadella has got to come into the pit lane yet. He hasn't taken his mandatory pit stop. Therefore, the leader is Rast. From Muller, from Mike Rockefeller, from Jonathan Aberdeen, from Robin Freins, from Jamie Green. And how the face of things has changed on the second race here at the Lausitzring this weekend, the 500th DTM race. And we're on board with our race leader, René Rast, now, for Audi Sport Team Rosberg. And we have 22.5 minutes of the race remaining. So Nico Muller, the big winner here, when you consider that Nico Muller had such a terrible start, but various moves and strategy call has helped, that's for sure. Because Nico Muller now effectively finds himself in P2. He's some, well, 5 seconds down on René Rast. But Nico Muller, of course, P2 in the Drivers' Championship. René Rast, P1 in the Drivers' Championship. And this is Jonathan Aberdeen and Robin Freins, who are contesting P5 and P6, but in real terms, contesting P4 and P5. When you consider that Danny Juncadella is going to have to come in at some point for his mandatory stop. He can come in whenever he likes and choose to stay out as long as he wants. It's lap time at the moment for this man. Number 23, Danny Juncadella, is in the 140.4s. As opposed to the 139s and those who have recently stopped for tyres are doing. So René Rast then showing us being in P2, but he's effectively the race leader as Paul de Resta and Timo Glock continue their little battle here. And just ahead of them is the car of Bruno Spengler. So is that Juncadella that has now come in? So we get back to the real lead, and that is with René Rast, with Nico Muller P2 and Mike Rockefeller P3, and here's Robin Freins and Jonathan Aberdeen and Jamie Green. And it's all down to tyre wear now, really, for the remaining 21 minutes plus a lap. Who has nursed their tyres the best? And who can make them go the distance? So Timo Glock and Bruno Spengler trade places. And Danny Juncadella makes his way out of the pit lane. He'll come out just behind Paul de Resta, of course, in car number 3. So Paul de Resta and Danny Juncadella, the only two of the Aston Martin cars still running, because we've lost Ferdinand Habsburg and Jake Dennis. So this was Bruno Spengler then. And, well, that in replay, we didn't see that live. Paul de Resta being somewhat leaned on there, although there was, did appear that there was quite a lot of smoke before that. Whether Sheldon van der Linde ran wide, well, certainly Joel Eriksson did, as you can see, trying to find the grip on this extremely hot tarmac. And Joel Eriksson going through a ride through the gravel and the grass, but manages to hold on to the car. I would think that Bruno Spengler is under investigation for that, and sure enough he is. Our race control is looking at that as we speak, as Jamie Green is really pressuring Jonathan Aberdeen here. Jamie Green running in that P6 place. And Paul de Resta has damage. This is going to be the third R Motorsport Aston Martin car potentially out of the race. So Paul de Resta has a problem. Whether that was brought about by the contact with Bruno Spengler, we're not sure, as Jamie Green does put himself ahead of Jonathan Aberdeen. But it looked like the end of the race for Paul de Resta. And there is Marco Wittmann, who has put himself ahead of Pietro Fittipaldi. So P7 for Marco Wittmann now. So Wittmann in the BMW then, of course, he's P3 in the Drivers' Championship at the moment. And, well, there is the Ferdinand Habsburg car, and it looks like that is the Paul di Resta car that has joined it out as well. So this in replay was Jamie Green then on the number 27 car of Jonathan Aberdeen. Good move down through the inside. And Marco Wittmann doing exactly the same on Pietro Fittipaldi. And the onboard perspective of Marco Wittmann, king of the late breakers there, really putting the pressure on the brake pedal, holding on to the car beautifully and denying Pietro Fittipaldi any hope of being able to defend that overtake move. So Rast leading by some 6.6 seconds over Nico Muller, who in turn is 5/10 ahead of Mike Rockefeller, and a very disappointed Paul di Resta is out of his car and who joined Ferdinand Habsburg in terms of race retirement, along with Jake Dennis as well. So this was the smoke we saw earlier, and that was the end of the Bruno Spengler-Paul di Resta incident, where Paul di Resta was pushed out onto the dirt by Bruno Spengler. That is still under investigation. This is our race leader, René Rast, who, as you can see, has got virtually the entire straight ahead of Nico Muller and Mike Rockefeller. And here comes Jamie Green on Robin Freins now. Jamie Green, who, of course, started P1. Under pressure 2 is going to be Joel Eriksson now from Loic Duval, as Luc Duval dives to the inside, and Sheldon van der Linde fancies a go at Joel Eriksson as well, but he wasn't quite close enough to be able to do so. So Loic Duval goes through. His pit stop, of course, was a botched one. He was in the pits for much longer than he would like to have been, and from the corner of my eye I can see both Timo Glock and Bruno Spengler coming into the pit lane.
So let's see with the fresh tires.
So, very, very interesting here. We're going for 2 stops with Spengler and Glock. So Timo, we nearly stalled it coming out of the grid box then. And here comes Bruno Spengler. So really rolling the dice then with 17 minutes of the race remaining. Live championship, as you can see. If everything stayed this way, Rast would be on 234 points, 20 ahead of Nico Muller. And Marco Wittmann on 165 points. That's if everything stays the way it is currently. No guarantee that that will be the case, of course. So Jamie Green then, who is running in P5 at the moment with Robin Freins ahead of him, but clearly quicker than Robin Freins, and he's got to find a way past the number 4 car. Now, Bruno is going to be investigated after the race for forcing another driver to leave the track. There's no question about that. We could see it on camera. It looked like a pretty slam dunk one, but that's going to be investigated after the race, which surprises me, to be honest. But clearly, race control have got access to much more footage than even we have, so they've decided they want to really have a look at that before deciding whether Bruno Spengler should pick up a penalty for that. In the meantime, Robin Freins still under pressure from Jamie Green, continuing his quest to get as far up the order as he can from his pole position start from earlier today. And what have we got? Just under 16 minutes plus a lap remaining. So will he have a go going into turn number 6 here? Jamie Green is lining up Robin Freins. I don't think it's close enough, no. He has to think better of it. And Robin Freins goes and keeps hold of that position for the moment. But Jamie Green now, wow, very nearly onto the inside of Robin Freins. So there's no question that Robin Freins is really under threat here, that P4 position. 4 car number 4 under threat from Jamie Green, who is really charging in the number 53 car currently. There's Nico Muller in P2, Mike Rockefeller is P3. Then it's Robin Freins and Jamie Green who are contesting this P4 position in the race at the moment. And this is Paul di Resta who gets a ride back to the paddock. So the end of Paul di Resta's race. Now, surely Jamie Green will have a go into turn number 1. Looks to the inside. Wasn't perhaps quite close enough to be able to manage that. This is Philip Eng and Sheldon van der Linde Final points paying position being held by Philip Eng at the moment for P10. Sheldon van der Linde in P11. Joel Eriksson, I can see from the corner of my eye, has just come into the pit lane. And there, sure enough, we pick up on the number 47 car. Another driver going for a second stop then. This could make the end of the race extremely exciting. So a 7.5 second stop for Joel Eriksson. So the first pit stop is mandatory. You can take a second stop if you should choose to do so. And Jamie Green still frustrated being stuck behind the car of Robin Freins. Marco Wittmann trying to chase down Jonathan Aberdeen. Marco Wittmann P7 at the moment. We ride on board with the BMW driver as we reach very nearly 250 kilometers now, 245 before he has to brake for the left-hander. Rast's lap time 140.2s. In fact, everyone in the 140s. Very interesting to see of those drivers that have chosen to make a second stop, what their lap times come down to. What have we got? 13 minutes remaining. So Muller, Rocky, Freins, Green, with Rast 7.5 seconds up the road as Marco Wittmann late on the brakes on the inside of Jonathan Aberdeen. Tries to muscle his way through and does go through on Jonathan Aberdeen. So Marco Wittmann elevates himself from P7 to P6. Duval currently running in P8 ahead of Fittipaldi, and there is Philip Eng, who's in that final points position. He's running in P10. So let's take a look at this again. Wittmann decided very, very late on. Now Aberdeen gives him room, I think. But then I think Aberdeen having to run much wider than he would have liked to, and that played into the hands of Marco Wittmann. And this Loic Duval then on the car of Pietro Fittipaldi. Well, he got the overtake done before turn 1. You can also see that Timo Glock has just come into the pit lane too. So René Rast then 7.3 seconds last time around ahead of Nico Muller. Here comes Nico Muller now. Oh no, it's going to be a retirement for Timo Glock. And he remains 7.3 seconds ahead of Nico Muller, does the race leader René Rast. So Timo Glock sadly is out of the race. And Eng running in P10. Gap between Philip Eng and Pietro Fittipaldi, some 1.5 seconds. Now, I say a race retirement for Timo Glock. He hasn't jumped out of the car, so whether they're trying to repair it and get him back out again, he has come into the garage, but he's still inside the car, as you can see. So the engineers working on that car of Timo Glock, the RMR team, trying to ascertain whatever the problem is. So René Rast, Nico Muller, Mike Rockefeller. Then it's Robin Freins, Jamie Green, Marco Wittmann ahead of Aberdeen, Duval, Fittipaldi and Philip Eng. That's the way it looks at the moment. It's a race retirement, sadly, for Paul Di Resta. Let's hear from him.
So much bad luck for Aston Martin. Paul, you're the third Aston Martin now who had to retire. And in your case, it was because of Bruno Spengler. How do you see the situation, him pushing you out?
Well, you can race side by side, but Bruno hit me and pushed me off. As a result, I'm not sure if that's why we had a loss in power, because I went across the gravel and the grass. But some things went wrong. I think we would have been in quite good shape because our strategy was maybe going to get us somewhere in the deep end of the points, but that's how it goes.
Thank you very much, Paul. Back to you.
Well, very philosophical, Paul di Resta. He said somewhere into the points was potentially a possibility. Not absolutely convinced that his power-related problems were down to the contact with Bruno Spengler. I remind you that that's going to be investigated after the race. But there we are. His race is done for. Rast manages to put another 10th over Nico Müller. And the gap between P1 and P2 is some 7.4 seconds. Robin Freins and Jamie Green, that remains unaltered. 4/10ths between the two of them, but whatever Jamie has tried to do, he's not been able to find his way past the Robin Freins car. Robin Freins currently running P4. Jamie Green running P5. P1, 2 and 3 at the moment. René Rast, Nico Müller and Mike Rockenfeller. And, well, sadly, the engineers weren't able to fix the Timo Glock car. He's out of the race as well and is walking down the pit lane to be weighed. And a great shame for the number 16 driver, as Jamie Green once again reinvigorates his attack on Robin Freins now. And it's the exit from this turn that potentially sets you up for a move going into turn number 1. So Jamie then on the DRS, the wing goes down. So too does the wing of Robin Freins in defence. Jamie will try and dive to the inside here on Robin Freins. Is he at last going to be able to get this overtake done? Robin Freins sticks with it, but Jamie Green does go through. So Jamie Green is up to P4. So Jamie Green does manage to find his way at last past Robin Freins, and it's a P4 now for the British racer. Let's hear from Timo Glock. He's sadly out of the race.
So let's try to find out what happened to Timo Glock. Do you know anything what the issue is?
No, actually not. The car had a very strange behavior on the straights. So we just retired and didn't take any risk.
Thank you very much. Very sad for Timo Glock. Yesterday didn't make it. Today again had to end the race too early. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Verena, and well done for catching up with Timo. And as he says, rather than risk anything, deciding to retire the car. Race leader, René Rast. P2, Nico Müller. P3, Mike Rockenfeller. Then, of course, it is Jamie Green. Now, Jamie Green is in P4, and he's 9/10ths down on Mike Rockenfeller. And Jamie would desperately love to get a podium here at the Lausitzring. And what have we got? 6.5 minutes plus a lap remaining. And Jamie with very good pace. Jamie Green's last lap, a 1:39.5. compared to 1:39.8 for Mike Rockenfeller. Let's get the latest laps now as they cross the timing line. So Jamie Green a 1:39.5, Mike Rockenfeller a 1:39.9. So Jamie Green, definitely a podium is in sight for him. So in the manufacturer's standings, if everything stays the way it does at the moment, Audi will have won the manufacturer's standings. So there's Nico Müller, who's P2. Jamie then just coming out of the draft of Mike Rockenfeller and taking a look at the inside. Mike knows very well that Jamie is there. So this fight on for the final podium place between Mike Rockenfeller and Jamie Green. All playing into the hands, of course, of Nico Müller, who's actually, up until now, really been unthreatened by Mike Rockenfeller. And certainly, Nico Müller not able to make an impression on the margin that René Rast has got of some 7 seconds. There you can see Rast disappearing into that turn before we even see Nico Müller into the picture. But here comes Mike Rockenfeller, now realising he's having to defend against Jamie Green. And here comes Marco Wittmann. Now DRS and push to pass becomes unrestricted for the final section of this race. What's Wittmann got left? 4 of each. Freins has got 10 pushes to pass. Green has got 9 compared to the 1 of Mike Rockenfeller. So Jamie Green should be in a great position here to be able to overhaul Mike Rockenfeller and get a podium place out of this race. So 4.5 minutes remain as they cross the timing line now. Jamie Green gets a bit closer to Mike Rockenfeller, but not close enough to be able to make a move going into turn number 1. Take plenty of the curb as they come into turn number 1, and Rocky doing a good job in terms of defending here. There was only a couple of tenths between them in terms of the last lap time, so Mike Rockefeller is responding to the charge of Jamie Green, no question about that. Mike fancies a couple of P3s this weekend. He was on the podium for P3 yesterday. Here comes Marco Wittmann. Ahead of him is Robin Freins for that P5. Of course, Marco Wittmann needing to keep his championship charge alive. Marco Wittmann currently running in P6 would bank him 8 points. P5 would bank him 10 points. So if he could find his way past Robin Freins to pick up that P5 place, that would be great news for Marco Wittmann and add another couple of points to his tally. So Jamie Green continuing to chase Mike Rockefeller, the number 99 car here. Under pressure from Jamie Green, definitely. Rast, the race leader, by 7.5 seconds. Here's Nico Muller running in P2. He in turn is nearly 4 seconds up the road from Mike Rockefeller and Jamie Green. This battle that continues over the final podium place. So off the turn 13, through the sweeping bank to turn number 14. Mike Rockefeller uses his DRS. Jamie Green will do the same. But Jamie not as close to Mike as he would perhaps like to be, and Marco Wittmann getting a bit closer to Robin Freins. Then this whole gaggle of cars. Here you can see Fittipaldi and then Eng, but this is our race leader, René Rast, on that stretch between turns 5 and 6. And René Rast looking very, very assured. His driving has been exemplary today. He's banking those 139.7s, which is keeping him a good 7 seconds ahead of Nico Muller. Just not stressing anything, doing everything the right way. And of course, following his DNF yesterday and no points haul, this would be very good news for René Rast in his charge to a potential championship. Of course, he's got 11 DRS and 12 push to passes remaining. Well, of course he has, because he's leading the race. There is Nico Muller, who's chased as chase might, but he can't reduce that gap of 7 seconds. So we're going to have two fights going on here between Jamie Green and Mike Rockefeller, and between this man, Marco Wittmann, and Robin Freins. But to be fair, Robin Freins seems to have the measure of the RMG BMW team driver behind him. Gap down to 7 tenths, as you can see, but we only have a minute and a half plus a lap remaining of this DTM, the 500th DTM race, being held here at the Lausitzring in super sunshine, glorious weather conditions. So Wittmann taking a lot of curb then through turn number 1 into turn 2. Turn 3 now. Before turn number 4, the right-hander. Under braking, he gets a bit closer to Robin Freins, and then this sweeping turn 5, a slight uphill stretch as you come onto the turn 5-6 straight. Betwixt those two turns, and René Rast then, who's actually lost quite a bit of time to Nico Muller now. The gap has reduced to 6.6 seconds between René Rast and Nico Muller as they crossed the timing line last time around. So René Rast in the number 33 Audi. As I say, looking pretty polished and pretty assured. There you can see Nico Muller just into the picture. So at the conclusion of this lap, René Rast will have just one more lap to do. And that means just one more lap to do for Jamie Green to try and overhaul Mike Rockefeller for a podium finish. So Mike Rockefeller at the moment running in P3, Jamie Green running in P4. There's 7 tenths between them and just a lap remaining. So here comes René Rast then to start the final lap of this 500th DTM race. And as Nico Muller breaks the beam on the timing, He has reduced the gap to 6.1 seconds. It's now or never for Jamie Green on Mike Rockenfeller for this podium, final podium place. He was not able to do it through turn number 1. And Marco Wittmann just a little bit under threat there now from Jonathan Aberdeen. He wants to wrestle this P6 place away from the BMW driver Marco Wittmann. You'll recall just a few laps ago, Wittmann getting past Aberdeen, and here comes Loic Duval on the back of Aberdeen as well. So here's Muller. He heads in towards turn number 6. Jamie Green taking a look at the inside, but again not close enough to be able to do anything. Neither are Aberdeen or Duval respectively in terms of Marco Wittmann. Live championship if it stays this way. Rast will have 234 points, Muller 214, Wittmann 167. Looks like Mike Rockenfeller has, I was going to say, seen off the charge from Jamie Green, but he's having a last gasp effort here. And Marco Wittmann just trying to hold on to that P6 place. So using DRS and push to pass for all it's worth on the final lap. But as René Rast comes out of turn number 13 and heads towards turn number 14, by my reckoning, this will be René Rast's 5th win of the season.
Yes! Yeah! ILS off, slow in, pick up and cool the brakes. Well done. You were by far the quickest on track.
So Rast wins here at the Lausitzring and wins the 500th DTM race. It was bitter disappointment for him yesterday with a DNF, but today he has put it all right and has won the race. From Nico Muller and Mike Rockenfeller taking P2 and P3, with Jamie Green P4, Robin Freins P5. The first 5 places all going the way of the Audi drivers. René Rast, the race winner. Then on his cool down lap, and we'll head towards Parc Fermé. Let's bring you the rundown then. René Rast taking the win from Nico Muller and Mike Rockenfeller, those drivers you'll see on the podium. They were ahead of Jamie Green, Robin Freins, Marco Wittmann, Jonathan Aberdeen, Loic Duval, Pietro Fittipaldi and Philipp Eng, occupying the top 10 places. Ahead of Sheldon van der Linde, P11, then it was Danny Juncadella, Joel Eriksson, Bruno Spengler, and we lost Timo Glock, Paul de Resta, Ferdinand Habsburg, and Jake Dennis. So Rast, Muller, and Rockenfeller it will be on the podium. So René making sure then as he runs across the grass to pick up enough to adhere to the tyres so that the minimum weight required is met when the car goes into Parc Fermé, and then is weighed post-race. And on board then in replay as he took the checkered flag.
Yes! Yeah! ILS off, slow in, pick up and cool the brakes. Well done. You were by far the quickest on track.
Danke Jungs, habt da einen geilen Job gemacht über Nacht, das Auto wieder aufgebaut. Vielen, vielen Dank für ein geiles Rennen, ein geiles Auto, super Stop. Der Sieg gehört euch. Danke Jungs.
So René then saying thank you for a great race. You delivered a perfect car for me. I have to thank my producer for that translation. It wasn't me. So the cars into Parc Fermé then, and there they are lined up. René Rast, Nico Muller, and Mike Rockenfeller, and they'll be heading up to the podium in due course. And it'll be René Rast that wears that wreath for the 500th DTM race win or winner of the 500th DTM race. In the manufacturer standings then, a clean sweep for Audi. Look at that, 858 points to 463 for BMW and 44 for Aston Martin. So the drivers then all being weighed. And congratulations with the team, and trying to listen in to some of the conversations, but not always possible that the camera picks up the sound so well. And as we heard with Team Radio, often it's in German in any event, but so congratulations all round. And there you can see Arno Sensen from Audi Sport Team Rosberg, and Dieter Gas to the left-hand side of Arno Sensen as the congratulations continue. The mark of a super driver who's able to pick himself up from the disappointment of a DNF and convert it from a, second row start and convert it into the race win. Very, very polished driver is René Rast. And there, Marco Wittmann walks away. Won't be delighted with his Lausitzring weekend, and René Rast celebrates taking the win in the 500th DTM race. Robin Freins, P5 for Robin in the end. He was on the podium yesterday, having taken, of course, P2. Be disappointed that he didn't make it to the podium today. As the top three line up for the photo then. René Rast to the middle, of course. To the left is Nico Müller, and to the right-hand side, Mike Rockenfeller. Good weekend for Mike Rockenfeller, to be fair. 2 P3s from the weekend. And there, once again, behind the DTM 500 race is Board. And hustled off towards the podium now. And potentially the interviews. And first of those is going to be with Nico Müller.
So fantastic, second place, congratulations, Nico Müller. 20 points between you and René now, and you were talking about a battle you were hoping to see today. We still didn't really see a battle. I guess René was just a bit faster than you today.
I think the problem was really the start, nothing else. I mean, I was back to P11 after turn 2, and I was like, fuck, this is going to be hard now. And it was hard because we had to pit early in order to try something. I think I overtook 2 BMWs on track before the pit stop. Then we pitted early, and I had to use, that tire advantage at that moment and push hard. And I knew it was going to be a very long stint after that, because the tires here, they drop a lot, and I was sure that, once René came out in front of me in the pits, that he would be quicker because he had much fresher tires. So, to be honest, after the start, I didn't expect to still finish P2, if I'm honest, and I'm very, very pleased that we made it work. The boys did a good job. We have to see what happened at the start. That is obviously not what we want to see. Completely screwed that one up. But yeah,
still got away with the blue eye. The points gap after the weekend is reduced, so can't wait to get to Nürburgring.
I was just going to say, don't be too hard on yourself. We still have 4 races to go. Thank you very much, Nico. Enjoy your moment up on the podium. Back to the commentator.
Apologies for Nico Muller's bad language at the initial part of that interview, but you could sense the frustration with the start of the race for Nico Muller. P2 though, P3 Mike Rockenfeller, and of course the race winner, the winner of the 500th DTM race, one Mr. René Rast. So René then celebrates the race win, and you can see everyone standing by. Podium presentation about to get underway and about to commence. And the drivers heading up towards the podium right now. Of course, still a lot of racing to come in the DTM before this championship is awarded and the season is done. We have 2 races at the Nürburgring and 2 races at the Hockenheim to come as well. So it's by far from all over yet. René Rast, though, will make his way to the top step of the podium. It's Harold Groves there, I believe. So René Rast then on the top step of the podium. And then, of course, it will be Nico Muller. Sure enough, Nico making his way. And then to join them on the 3rd step of the podium, it will be Mike Rockenfeller. So national anthem to play out then for our race winner. Just as soon as the team's representative has made his way to his step. But yes, the national anthem will play out for René Rast. So the anthem plays out for René Rast then on the top step of the podium. And trophy presentation time. Mr. Harold Groves, winner of the first DTM race back in 1984, presents the wreath to René Rast then for winning the 500th DTM race. Here comes the real deal trophy. Super trophies here at the Lausitzring. Made ever more special by dint of the 500th DTM race win for René Rast collecting that honour. Mrs. Robin Quinville, Deputy Ambassador of the USA, making the trophy presentation to the teams. Special trophies, of course, for this 500th DTM race. Up next to receive his trophy then is Nico Muller and Nico Volter then, the Olympic silver medalist, four-man bobsleigh, presenting that second place trophy to Nico Muller. And Clemens Klinker, board member of Dekra SE, makes the trophy presentation to Mike Rockefeller for P3. So the drivers all get together for the photographs before the champagne will be unleashed atop the podium. And you'll find our podium presenters will make haste their escape so as not to get soaked by the champagne as it's sprayed on the podium. Well, to be fair, the team won the race there, didn't they? Mike Rockefeller there skidded off towards the side, didn't he? And then came back and sneaked upon them. Very clever. So the celebrations continue atop the podium then. And from the Lausitzring, of course, we will focus our attention towards the fact that we still have 4 races to come. We've got 2 at Nürburgring and 2 at Hockenheim on the way. So still an awful lot of points, an awful lot of racing to be done before the end of the season, that's for sure. And the big crowd to enjoy the racing here at the Lausitzring, and they've been treated to a good weekend, both in terms of racing and weather as well. Take a look at some of the shots pre-race, and Robin Freins, and of course the race winner René Rast and Nico Muller, and there's Jonathan Aberdeen and the all smiles Jamie Green, who wasn't quite able to make it onto the podium, sadly. Right, race winner then, the 500th DTM race at the Lausitzring. Something very, very special, I guess, and René Rast is the victor.
So congratulations, not only with this, but also with the trophy, first place. So congratulations, and you're 20 points ahead now. And I guess after yesterday especially, you've got to be absolutely happy today. Everything went well.
Yeah, I mean, the start was for sure the key moment of the race. I had a very good start, was behind Jamie. And I felt that the car was very strong today, had a good pace and could pass Jamie, and then incredible pace over the whole race. Had a good pit stop as well, so big thanks to all my boys. They worked till 3 a.m. This morning, so they deserved that win after yesterday's technical problem we had. So for sure it's good, but obviously we lost some points this weekend, but today's victory was very nice.
And I was just going to say, also you won a historic race. I mean, it's the 500th of the DTM, so that's super special as well.
Yeah, for sure it's something special. In America, when you win like a special race, you get like a watch or a ring, so I'm still waiting for that one. But no, honestly, I think for DTM it's a big achievement, 500 races, and to be able to win that important race is something very special.
I hope you're not telling me you would have preferred a watch over this. I love it. So congratulations. Thank you very much, René, and back to the commentator.
Thank you. Yes, he wasn't going to be happy with the wreath. He wanted a watch or a ring. René Rast then, the winner of the 500th DTM race, which was held here at the Lausitzring. Of course, René now with a healthy points advantage going into the next round, and there you can see confirmation of the points and the 20-point advantage René Rast has over Nico Muller. 214 points for Nico Muller, 167 for Marco Wittmann, 140 for Philipp Eng, and then it's Mike Rockefeller, Robin Freins, Loic Duval, Bruno Spengler, Jamie Green and Joel Eriksson rounding out the top 10 in terms of Drivers' Championship points. So Jonathan Aberdeen, Sheldon van der Linde, Timo Glock, Pietro Fittipaldi and the rest of the drivers there, as you can see, rounding out the Drivers' Points Championship as the turbine then winds its way around here at the Lausitzring. Let's hear from Mike Rockefeller.
So this guy here did a very good race. Congratulations, Rocky. Yesterday you said it's nice smelling and tasting the champagne again. So how does it feel right now being up here?
Yeah, really good, especially after qualifying today. When I was P10, I was quite disappointed, but I knew that with a good strategy and I have a really good crew for pit stops, that there is still something possible. And for sure the start was crucial. I made up 4 positions, so I was P6, and then with the strategy and the pace we had, we could manage to come to the podium, which is pretty nice.
You did a phenomenal job, and who knows, maybe we'll see you up here at the next race. So I would love it. All right, Rocky, thank you so much. And well, that was it from the Lausitzring, the 500th race in the DTM. And we're going to see you in 3 weeks at the Nürburgring. So you don't want to miss that. That is certainly for sure. And now here are the highlights of today. Do enjoy. Bye-bye.